Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And there are very few of us, but here we are hosting our session 55 of the ZoomIN series, a virtual get together platform, a way of interacting with each other in the virtual space. The topic today is planet and sustainable development, which is in front of us. We have a very eminent speaker, Dr. V Venkat Ramanan, who is an assistant professor at the Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Dr. Venkat Ramanan, a very warm welcome to you on behalf of the Vasant Vihar Club. Thank you for coming to talk to us about this really important subject. Um, but before we start, I would like to invite our president, General Shankar Prasad, to say a few words. General Prasad, you have to unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you, Sanjana, and welcome, Dr. Venkat Ramanan. Thanks very much for finding time in these difficult days to spend an hour or so with us on this subject, which many people think is rather scientific and perhaps not so relevant to many people. But the truth is that this is perhaps one of the most important subjects that has been chosen today. And I think our planet and sustainable development is something that should be uppermost in mind of every country, particularly those who are developing and those who are developed, and they both look at it differently. Uh, Only this morning's newspaper was giving a report to say that the last decade has been the hottest or the warmest decade in the last, ever since it's been recorded. And obviously, this major change that is taking place in the environment across the globe, what they call the global warming, is all related to our planet's sustainable development. And you find a lot of people talking about air pollution, water shortages, biodegradation, uh, uh, what do you call those forest fires, uh, the natural greenery around the hills being denuded, unlimited wood cutting, and all these things. And a lot of people talk about it, but perhaps very little is done. The government's trying to do something about it, but it's each citizen's job. And if my colleagues in Vasant Vihar and Shanti Niketan will recall, and Sanjana and Raj in particular, in one of our earlier also sessions of the literary festival, we had Sunita Narayan, who is also an environmentalist and who spoke about these issues. So it is not so new a subject, it's very much a relevant subject. It's just a question that people at the look of it don't find it very interesting. But today I'm sure Dr. Venkata Ramanan is going to speak in simple and straightforward language to develop interest for all of us. So thank you, Sanjana. We look forward to a very interesting talk, less academic than more practical. And if practical issues come up, obviously more people will enjoy listening to it. So thank you so much, and over to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, General Prasad. So, as I said, Dr. V Venkat Ramanan is an assistant professor at the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. He will be talking to us about green technologies, biodegradation, environmental management, and climate smart agriculture, and some of the things which General Prasad just mentioned about forest fires and how are we causing damage to our planet. He has published more than 20 research papers in well-known journals and has also written some books, some chapters in some books. Earth Day. Earth Day is a day which is celebrated or is earmarked as the 20th of April. It's a way of drawing attention to the urgency of the climate crisis and the events that have led to the deplorable state in which our planet is at the moment. And it's also a time, it's also a way of highlighting and ensuring that people talk about this. And since Earth Day is 20th April and we are here on the 21st of April, we thought a talk about climate would be topical. The cover of Time magazine this month is also it has climate on its front page. The front page says climate is everything. That's the tagline of Time magazine. One second. That is the tagline of the Time magazine. I don't know, Dr. Ramanan, if you have seen that or not, but Time magazine has that as its cover this month. And the tagline is how the pandemic can lead to a greater and a greener world. So that is something perhaps we can talk about later, but here we are talking about planet and sustainable development. If we think of climate change, what comes to our mind is normally highways jammed with cars and factories with smoke, billowing away. But few realize the importance, the role, the few realize the role played by agriculture and the food system. It is estimated that between 19 to 29% of all greenhouse gas emissions come from growing crops, raising livestock, or clearing land. You are the expert, Dr. Venkat Ramanan.
Yes,
We would love to hear what you have to say about this.
thank you very much, ma'am. I'll do justice. Thank you very much, esteemed members. I'm Dr. V Venkat Ramanan. Basically, I'm an agriculture graduate, BSc Agriculture from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, and master's degree from GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, and PhD from Indian Agriculture Research Institute here at Pusa, Delhi. After that, I was working in Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, and in 2011, I joined in IGNO. Since my wife was working in GP Pant University, I have to come here to North India, so I'm settled. We both are working in IGNO. She's Professor Sachisha. She's presently director also for the school, what Madam was saying.
Okay.
And the topic is interesting. In fact, I was just listening, overhearing what esteemed members was talking about. Yes, it is a bit scientific. I try to be as simple as possible, but at the same time, even every one of us can understand what is happening around us. In that sense, Madam was rightly talking about the Time magazine and so on and so forth. But literally, what I want to say is that the climate change, we can feel it. What is exactly happening? When not only the newspapers, we can feel ourselves that I was a product of JNU in 1998. I mean, 20 years back, I was a product of JNU, and see how much change has occurred in the wherever you're staying, Vasant Vihar and nearby. I can see as a student, I've seen in 1998, and even then, the president was talking about the greenery kind of things. He was talking about then. Professor Vashne was there in SES, School of Environmental Sciences, so under whom I was working for some time. He asked how to go for plantation, because plantation at ridge levels, and the ridge I'm talking about, the dividers. So how much what kind of green cover is required so that it can sequester the pollutants, or other words, the carbon dioxide. That was the idea in 1998. I'm talking. So I met the DDA chairman also, and now we are moving towards a direction. But at the same time, the kind of problems, challenges are many. Starting from your pollution, population, population breeds pollution as well. So this kind of problems are coming up, but still we are at a very important point that the progress, as far as the progress is concerned, the sustainable development, a lot of changes have happened. The present government is also taking a lot of initiatives. The policies, programs are many, and we are in right direction. That's what I want to say in one line. We are in right direction, and nevertheless,
Reassuring to know. That's
yeah,
reassuring to know that we are heading in the right direction.
yeah. In fact, we are heading to the right direction. It's not that an subjective answer, objective answer I'm giving. The reason is that whatever we are doing, it has to be measured, and we
Right.
need to report to the United Nations. When I say development is taking place, it has to be measured. Because the Paris Agreement or post 2015 development agenda is there. Whatever we are doing it, we have to report to the United Nations organization. That's a part of this SDG, Sustainable Development Goals also. So coming to this the topic as such, I'll try to be make as simple as possible. I mean, of course, it is simple. I mean, all learned members are there. I must learn from them. I'm very young. I try to do justice. That's what I wanted to say. Sir, in front of us, the problems in front of us. Let me put it the problems, and one by one, I'll say the problems. And if we are going to find out the solution. That's a simple answer. Okay, problems on one side, and the solutions on the other side. Let us see one by one.
I know we have to have some hope, otherwise, we can't just say that there is a
Yeah.
problem without any way of addressing it.
I don't know why next slide is how to. Kritika?
You can't move it?
Yeah. Kritika?
Is it a PPT or a PDF?
It's a PPT, sir.
You should be able to move it.
Kritika? Okay. That's done.
I was going to, there.
Yeah.
We all need a wine's help, you can't do it on our own.
Yeah. In fact, I was calling my daughter because she's much better in this thing. Well, she's very in fifth standard and Bluebell School International and wonderful. When she was doing everything, all the things. I'm sorry because I'm old enough, but not so much. Technically, I'm not so much literate.
Or the spouse.
Yeah. So, this, sir, in front of us, the huge problem in front of us is the population. I mean, since you would have known in 1972, Club of Rome would have discussed about these things, and it's even decades after also, the population is the most important issue because that drives a lot of other, negative consequences, whether it's a pollution problem, environmental degradation, so on and so forth. There are many problems are there. The point here is that now we have global population is 7.2 billion. By 2050, it will be 10 billion. 9 or 10 billion. So the demand is going to increase from the what you call the area, from agriculture production, food security, and you rightly said about the water also, water security, soil security, and the kind of losses, biodiversity losses. There are many are there. So the population is the most important thing, and of course there's a different policy level. There are policy measures are there how to reduce the and not only reduce, in fact, stabilization of population. That's what we are heading for it. So, if you see rightly, that net replacement rate is 2.1. It's drastically reduced from 3.1. It is now 2.1. NRR is 2.1. So the population is the main issue. And along with that thing, there are certain changes that have happened place. What is that important change is the dietary change, dietary shift. Because when I talk about dietary shift, there's more demand for the protein-rich diet. And this is a very important thing. So when there is a demand for protein, high energy rich products, then the pressure will be more on agriculture land.
Mm-hmm.
Agriculture land, if it is providing only carbohydrate food, it's fine. 300 million tons is fine. But if you wanted more of pulses, if you wanted more of protein rich diet, if you wanted more of the non-veg product, non-vegetarian products, then it will be problem. So there will be more of the consumption of land resources will be more. So there is a dietary shift is there. So whatever we demand we are talking about, we have to factor in this particular point also at the global level. It's happening, and at our country level also. When you see the middle income groups, higher, they're moving towards this kind of direction. The more of protein, they wanted kind of rich products and protein rich diets they expect, and this is going to have a lot of cause of concern indeed. So the second important thing, as far as the food is concerned, the first and foremost important thing is that the food. And whatever we are talking about, whatever things, whatever the objectives, whatever the seminars, whatever thing, the first essential thing is that food is there. And if we are in a position to find answer to this thing, then comes all our other. Madam was trying to talk about the pandemic, and that comes later. First, you need the food, and for that, if we are in a position to give an answer, that is a billion-dollar question. Definitely, it's a billion-dollar question. Let me try to give an answer for this thing. So then, sir, every one of us is. I mean, they would have seen the Green Revolution. So the kind of the last 50 decades, the kind of when you talk about Green Revolution, it's not a simple magic. It has been driven by the technology. It is driven by the media. I'm talking about extensional media. I'm talking in agriculture. What is an extension is the most important thing. The third important thing is that the plant breeding. So everything has contributed to the green revolution, and just because of green revolution, we are achieving 300 million tons. Way back in 1950, it was 50 million tons. So 6 times increase in production is because of green revolution. And nevertheless, this green revolution has caused a lot of harm to the environment. And now the kind of environmental harm, the degradation has to be reduced. So whatever we are talking about, whatever the technology, green technology or agriculture technology we are talking about, we should take care of. One important thing is that technology should not cause any kind of harm to the environment. In simplistic terms, the carbon footprint has to be reduced, minimized. That's the basic thing. So having said this thing, now we'll go further. What are the challenges in front of us? So in front of us, the most important challenge, as rightly said, the food and nutrition security is the most important challenge. And the next important challenge is the energy security. For the humanity, I'm talking about. For the humanity, I mean, globally, what all in front of us, what all the measures we need to think about it. So, I mean, when you talk about the food, water, energy, and the next important thing is the soil component. It's a very interesting thing. It's not scientific. The soil is the most important resources because, and for our existence, see, agriculture is the most important thing. 10,000 years back, agriculture originated, and the first breeder is the women. Madam is in front of me. The first breeder is the women. Women was in the position to choose the crops, choose the varieties, and just because of the women and just because of the agriculture, that history, we are in a position to thrive. And it's no scientific thing; it is the natural thing. Because without science, they were in a position to cultivate the crops. They were in a position to choose the crops. They were in a position to improve the varieties. And what we are having right now is because of them. And agriculture is a way of life in our country. It is the absolute way of life in that country. So the second challenge is soil security. Why? Because the soil, whatever we are talking about, is the most important thing. When I talk about why, because the microorganisms present in there, the organisms present in there, because it is the bedrock for the plant growth. So we need to take all the measures possible to improve the soil. When I say improve, technically, productivity, fertility, microbiological diversity, and there are many terms out there. But I'm using a simple term, security, soil security, simple term. And next is, as Madam rightly said about climate change. See, climate change, the effect of it, the gravity of the situation, we have understood. It is now. It is not. We have no way fully well that it is the climate is changing, and just because of that reason, 2007 Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, IPCC got it. So now no point of talking about the science behind climate change because we know categorically that climate is changing. The data is there. Now the point is that how to abate them, how to mitigate them.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Actually, one doesn't give enough importance to soil security because, like you said, we think about greenhouse gas, we think about pollution, think about population. We don't give enough attention to soil security as well. And I can see number two on your list is water security, and unfortunately, we seem to be not. I mean, Vasant Vihar does have its share of water problems. I mean, I'm not talking about the scale in which you know you would visualize it, but yeah, I mean, as a microcosm, we do have our issues with water, supply.
Yeah, the water security is
With
rightly
with
a
your
very very important point.
sorry to interfere because we're just talking, and before we lose that point, we talked about agriculture. Now, agriculture is something that is really causing concern to a large number of us. You have these fires, the agricultural fires, which is resulting in pollution all over, particularly in Delhi. Then we talk about this use of chemicals to increase productivity and to all those things. And now people are going in for what is called the organic agriculture. So these are the issues as far as food security is concerned. As to we had, originally we had, as you say, centuries ago, women invented the kind of crop that should be cultivated in various seasons and what needs water, what needs sunshine, and things like that. But the issue today is this: everything is genetically being modified, and you have these chemicals which increase the productivity, but perhaps not so good for health. And these fires that are creating nuisance in all over the planet. We have such terrible pollution issues in Delhi. Half the time we're not able to breathe, we're only breathing smoke. So you would like to put some light on this as to where we are going in the organic and where are we going in for the natural, the other way of doing it.
Yeah. So I'll come to that particular point of crop residue burning. In fact, last month only, I have published a paper in Frontiers of Energy Research, crop residue management. I'll come to that particular point in the last slide, because I'm trying to talk about, just figure out how sustainable development can be related with every aspect of it, particularly in agriculture. Since I'm from agriculture background, I'll take up this question lastly, about the crop residue management. Okay, it is interesting thing. It is very interesting thing. And water security, rightly, madam said rightly, water security is essentially important because agriculture uses almost 70 to 80% of water is used by agriculture. So in that way, this water security is essentially important. So thereafter, few important challenges are there about the loss of biodiversity, because we are in the era of sixth mass extinction. Sixth mass extinction is the kind of biodiversity loss we are experiencing is tremendous. That's why we are saying we are in the era of sixth mass extinction. Okay, these are the challenges in front of us. Now, having said everything, we need to quantify it. So tremendous amount of research have happened in the last century, and based on the research, they've analyzed that what kind of action the man should take. I mean, humanity should go forward. In what are the earth processes, we have already overshoot. In other words, there is kind of a boundaries there, planetary boundaries there. So there are 9 important processes they have been taken into account, and it has been quantified. The issues are stratospheric ozone depletion, air pollution, the nitrogen pollution, climate change, biodiversity loss. These are the 9 important issues, and within that issues, already if you see, the biodiversity loss, as I said, it's the sixth mass extinction. And the second important issue is climate change. Already our actions are cause a lot of harm. The negative consequences are there. So we need to take the measures on a priority scale. Okay, and we need to look for all the conservation measures as far biodiversity is concerned, climate change mitigation is concerned. Already they have been proved. So this is called as planetary boundaries. So this is a very, very important thing, because whatever our thinking process is concerned, our focus has been quantified on these boundaries. Our actions should not overshoot any of these things: ocean acidification or ozone depletion. Ozone depletion, for instance, 3 decades back, Montreal Protocol, 1988. We were in a position to control the ozone depletion. In front of us, the slide is there: stratospheric ozone depletion. Understood. Ocean acidification is there. Because of that, a lot of harm to the marine organisms. Understood. So everything is been related, and this is the basic thing. This is the science behind our action. When we talk about sustainable development, it doesn't come. I mean, there is a science why the word was used, sustainable development. So way back in 1988, we used the word, our common future sustainable development was used, and then the focus was on ecology, economy, and the social system. But now, the president rightly said about the air we breathe, the water we drink. So the environment is most important. So a kind of a rethought, right? We are revisiting the concept of sustainable development. I'll come to that thing. So at this context, we have seen that planetary boundaries is a very important concept, and it will drive our action. Whatever the global level, whatever the negotiations we are having, we are moving in this particular direction. Okay, and now we'll take up this what do you call the concept of sustainable development. As I rightly said that in 1988, what we thought sustainable development, we were focusing on 3 important concepts: ecology, economy, and social system. But now we should not think only of those 3 important things. We should think about something else also. In addition to equity, equity means not only the present generation, we need to talk about the future generation also. That's number 1 point. The second important point is that we need to talk about the earth system, life support system. Living beings are important. I'm talking about any organism. Any living organisms are important. Not only human beings. Living organisms are important. When I say living organisms are important, I'm talking about the Earth's life support system. I'm talking about the atmosphere. I'm talking about the hydrosphere. I'm talking about every possible thing, every possible factor, element that is supporting the life on Earth. So that's Earth's life system. So now our thinking as far as sustainable development is concerned, it's no more all the 3 concepts. Now we are thinking about the Earth's life support system. Our actions, our programs will be moving towards this direction. Sustainable development is no more the previous one. Now we are talking about the Earth life support system. Why? Because in this slide you can understand we are thinking as a nested concept. When I say nested concept, economy provides the services to the society, and the society is within that Earth life support system. This is a very good picture about this thing, that paradigm. So with this paradigm only, the Sustainable Development Goals have been framed. Very important concept, because in 2000 we had Millennium Development Goals. We had Millennium Development Goals. I'm talking about the global level, and we'll come to the madam rightly said about the location. I mean, local level. We'll come to it later. But at the global level, we thought about the Millennium Development Goals in 2000. Then the concept was different. Then we focus on the poverty. We focus on the maternal what you call the MMR, means what you call to reduce the maternal mortality rate. We have to reduce it, provide education, and the development. All we were focusing on 2000 MDG. But now we need to talk about the life. What is that? The nutrients, hydrological services, ecosystem services, climate stability. So this is the driving force of the post 2015 development agenda. After 2015, the thought process has changed, and now we are focusing on different goals, and that sustainable development goals are, it's an important concept, not only in India, everywhere, all the United Nations, every 193 countries, everyone will be moving towards this direction only. That is 17 goals are there. So every action, because every government will be trying to achieve that goals targets. Okay, our government also, I said rightly said that we are in the right direction. Yes, we are in the right direction. As far as energy use is concerned, our present government is looking for how to switch over from fossil fuels to the renewable energy. Wonderful thing. So
Right.
every way we are trying to move in the, we are trying the level, because when I say we are trying, because our country is 1.2 billion in a developing country, a lot of reservations are there. When I say reservations, the develop economy, what you call economic development is essential. When you talk about economic development, that will have a trade-off with energy use. It will release the greenhouse gas emission, and we need to do for, because our staple diet is paddy. I mean, paddy is the most important crop in our country, in South Asia. And when you talk about paddy, rightly said, madam said, green agriculture activity, particularly the paddy cultivation, releases greenhouse gas emission. But I need food, particularly I need what you call paddy, isn't it? So there's a definitely a trade-off is there. Understood. So what we need to do is that the sustainable development goals, when you talk about, is that the 17 goals are there. Definitely there will be certain trade-offs. But we need to look for synergies. We need to
So
look
I'm
for
going to ask you here about this question, that is sustainability about public relationship, or is it actually something which we need to work towards achieving it?
Yeah. So we need to, because every possible way, when we talk about the concept of sustainability, there is concept of equity comes into picture. Intergenerational, intragenerational equity is there. And very important point, you said that in a different wording maybe. But what the drive, in the sustainability concept is the bottom up to top approach. What you're doing it in Vasant Vihar, you may not be, I mean, it is a small location, but that may have a, positive kind of an effect, the feedback will be extensive. Understood.
Absolutely.
That is what is essentially important. Bottom to top approach. So I cannot have a policy at the top level and implement it right down. So at your level, if you're in a position to bring in, I'm not giving any kind of suggestions, recommendations. What I'm trying to say is that if you're bringing, for example, green building, for example, I'm giving a concept of green building in your area, and I'm a green to rooftop cultivation, for example. There are people who are going for it. In South India, they're going for it. Tamil Nadu, they're going for it. So what I'm trying to say is that it may be small in action, but definitely the kind of, the consequences will be very many. Understood. So
We've actually had a small area where there's been a plantation drive, which was spearheaded by actually two very young students. So they've done two plantation drives in the area, and they have managed to, look after those plants so that they have survived at least 2, 3 years. So
excellent, ma'am. Excellent. Because
yeah,
each and every plant, it will photosynthesize. When I say photosynthesize means it will sequester the carbon dioxide. Simple logic. Simple logic. APJ Abdul Kalam, when is from my place, I without I'm addressing as because he's like our very close to our people. I mean, heart in South India, Tamil Nadu. APJ 1 billion. He was asking one Mr. Vivek, the comedian who died recently 2 days back. He asked him go for 1 billion plantation. He did it, but of course he died yesterday because of the present, the
But he
things
tried to
happening.
find his legacy of those many
Yes,
plants, those
yes,
many trees.
yes. That is most important thing. So,
Mhm.
so what I'm trying to say is that this sustainable development goals are important. There are 17 are there, and there is a lot of shift has taken place from our thought process from MDG to SDG. Okay, and this SDG we are talking about because the 5 P's of SDGs, because it talks about the planet, it talks about the prosperity, it talks about the people, because we are the people. Everywhere we are involved in this action, whether it's of framing or implementation, everything will goes to us. So the people is more important thing, and the partnership. Because when you talk about partnership, ultimately that is the most important thing. Because when you talk about partnership, for simple example, they used to say for managing climate change, we need to go for the common but differentiated responsibility. Because the developed countries may be historically responsible for causing harm to the environment through a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. So they are responsible. Historically, they are responsible. So when I say they are historically responsible, it's their turn to give the technology. It is their turn to give the finance to the developing countries. So in a way, partnership is required at the global level, at the nation level as well. So this is about the 5 P's actually.
Sanjana, I may like to add, Sanjana.
Yes, Mr. Bhalla, can we keep the questions for later?
No, it is in between.
Okay, go ahead, please, since we have.
You know, Dr. Venkataraman, you
Yes,
must
sir.
keep in mind the network of Krishi Vigyan Kendras of the ICR across the country, who are basically responsible for sustainable development of agriculture and allied fields throughout the country, and that they have a all team of specialists, and every farm there is a 50 acre of farm where the farmers are trained. So that aspect also you please keep in mind.
Yes, sir. 30 years back, 1991 batch ABS Agriculture, sir. I've been trained in this KVK only, whatever you said, Krishi Vikan Kendra, the famous in nation's famous one in Pondicherry. We have been trained in that concept, whatever you said. And secondly, the land grant policy, you said 50 acres and all. I'm product of MSc Pantnagar. There also they taught me this is a very important thing. The agriculture, because the what you call the KVK, that is an extension agent, and the success of green revolution is goes to them also. And a lot of when you rightly said got the lab to land program and everything, starting from Balwant Rai Committee CDP, Community Development Program 1952, there are a lot of programs, and ending in 1980 TNV system. TNV means training and visit system. So everywhere the KBK's role is there, and very nice point you rightly said, sir. And that is the reason why, one of the reason why, because we have almost 600 plus KVKs in our country. Because when you talk about KVKs, they've been attached to the SAUs also. SAUs means state agriculture universities also. So whatever the technology is there, it will be transferred to the farmers through the KVKs, because they will train the farmers and the trainers will be training. What I'm saying is that again, a lot of demonstration is a method demonstration, result demonstration. There are a lot of techniques are there. So coming to that thing, definitely the KVK's role is it's an extremely important thing. It's extremely important thing. And see, this is a very important slide, but right, the president of association rightly talked about the data point. Actually, the climate change. I mean, the temperature increase and everything. If you see last century, 1 degree centigrade is increased at the global level. So it is more than what to say. 1 degree centigrade is so much. It has already started showing a lot of symptoms. Whether it is a crop activity, it's an water problem, or any a lot of problems have started because of this increase in temperature. And the data is in front of us. There's 1 degree centigrade increase in global warming, and the very important thing is the agreement. We are very much part of it, the Paris Agreement. We need to contain it by 1.5 degrees centigrade. See, it is 1 degree centigrade can have a lot of the feedbacks. Positive feedbacks are many. So this is about the data part. And now I'll just go to the a lot of goals are there. Goal 13 is about talks about the what you call the climate action. These are the targets, because I'll be happy to talk about, okay, these are the problems. Now, what I'm trying to use it that sector-wise solutions. We need to find a sector-wise solution. Sector means, for example, agriculture is a sector. Sir was talking about the forest fire, and terrestrial ecosystem. And sir was talking about the water aspect also. There are many sectors are there. So each and every sector, there will be sector-specific approaches will be there. Okay, for example, agriculture. When I talk about agriculture, so what are the ways to manage it? Sir was, sir, you rightly said, because the credit goes to uh, uh, Professor Deepak. He said rightly the KVK, because so interesting point. So interesting point. I don't know. I'll take only 30 seconds to give an answer that three yes were behind green revolution. 3 yes. Subramaniam, Swaminathan sir, and Sivaraman. 3 yes. M.S. Swaminathan sir is the father of Green Revolution. Subramaniam is the Union Minister of Agriculture, and Sivaraman is the secretary. And they three were behind the Green Revolution. And they strategized that what are the possible ways they can do it. And one important thing is that the media component, extension component, the KVK was the important component you rightly said. So now, coming to the agriculture sector, do you have a solution? When I talk about a solution, there are many things are happening. For example, simple. We have 141 million hectares of land. We have 141 million hectares of agricultural land. And with that land, how much we can produce? We know it. Okay. But the population is increasing. Our dietary pattern is changing. So how to meet the demand of growing population? How to meet the demand of the cattle population, livestock? We are rich in livestock. I mean, cattle, buffalo. There is a lot of demand is there. So do you have a strategy? 141 million acres we cannot increase. The net sown area, the last 3-4 decades, it will decrease but not increase, because the population is increasing, urbanization is increasing, and we cannot do it. So under these circumstances, what our mind will be going, so we'll try to increase the efficiency. Whatever the resource using, the land is a resource, we'll be trying to use it efficiently. Okay, that is one important strategy. It comes to every school going children also be talking about efficiency is a keyword. But what about the technology? So there are many things that have happened globally. They're providing answers in terms of sustainable intensification. Means in the same piece of land, we'll be trying to intensify so that the production is more. Understood? In other words, productivity is more, but with the same piece of land. That's one concept that's called sustainable intensification. Sustainable, Madam rightly used sustainability word. Yes, sustainable means it will not cause any harm to the environment. Sustainable intensification. Fine. So, but at the same time, Madam rightly said that agriculture is also releasing a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. Sustainable intensification will not be a solution for that thing. So we need to have certain other strategies. When it says strategies, it's not simple thing. For example, climate smart agriculture, it has been developed by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, and they've developed and they've tested, and with the empirical evidence, only they will be moving forward. 2010, 9, 10, they've developed the concept of climate smart agriculture, and in 2000, now in Pusa nearby, in Pusa, 320 crores project is there in Nikra. Nikra means how to increase the resilience to agriculture system. Resilience means even though there will be a lot of stress will be there through climate change, the agriculture system will manage it, can cope up and produce what it should produce. Produce what it should produce means food security is a key thing. Okay, so now what is the concept? Climate smart agriculture means climate smart agriculture means the smart is a keyword. It's a very important word. When I say smart, whatever the technology, see, it will be providing the first most important thing is agriculture production should increase. At the same time, the changing climate should not affect the agriculture system. So it should adapt. Agriculture system should adapt. Okay, like human beings will adapt to the changing environment. Like that, agriculture system also should adapt. It should cope up with the shocks. And the third important point is the greenhouse gas emissions from agricultural activity, or in other words, the carbon footprint has to be minimized. That's the most important thing. So this is the climate smart agriculture. Oh, this climate smart agriculture already it has been since 1 decade is it. Even my student is working on the same topic in eastern part of our country, because what we expect in second green revolution from eastern part of our country, particularly the West Bengal, Orissa zone, we are expecting the second green revolution. Because already in the transgangetic period, we have experienced in 1950s the green revolution. Now in the eastern coast, because there is again a lot of potential is there, opportunities are existing in that particular region. So coming to the point, the climate smart agriculture is basically a lot of technologies have been what you call combined, and it has been implemented in our country also. And mainly, if you see, it has been driven by the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. Everywhere, mostly in the tropical region, it is implemented. So simple slide. This is a simple slide, not technical things. And just you can ask me, but my point here is that whatever the activities are there, from seed to seed, means my wife is very good in gardening. You wanted to go for gardening, or you wanted to go for an agricultural activity. It's a basic activity. So there will be starting point and end point. So from seed to seed, let's say sow the seed and you'll be harvesting. From every aspect, every activity, you need to be smart. That's the simple thing. So what you'll be trying to do, you'll be trying to increase the efficiency aspect. You ask me, for example, you wanted to go for plowing operation. Simple. Everyone has to go for plowing operation. Now I'm asking, as part of the climate smart agriculture, what you can do is that you can reduce the number of plowing. Reduce the number of plowing, because when you reduce the number of plowing, if you use a tractor, fine. If you reduce the number of plowing, the diesel consumption will be decreasing. So carbon footprint will be decreasing. Understood? So the technology has to be developed in such a way that we have to reduce the plowing operation. So
So you're
conservation.
saying that we have to transform our food system to lower the carbon footprint. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, transform the agriculture production system.
Transform the food system.
Yeah, agriculture. See, that is also a keyword. Agriculture food system. I'm not using word agriculture production. Agriculture food system means, madam, right? Is it food system? When you use the word system, then it is more complex. Here, food system means starting from the seed, the seed planting, harvesting. After that, it has to reach the consumers. So it's a complete chain, logistic. Completely, it has to be managed. That is called food system. If you're using agriculture production, from seed to seed, that is still farm gate. That is farm gate. That's simple. But when you talk about a food system, then I'm talking about the food waste. 20 to 30% of food waste wasted. I have to manage that also. And logistics, I have to manage it, because wherever it is, for example, the production is maximum in Punjab and Haryana, but the need may be in Orissa. So how to manage the logistics? Sure. So you have to reduce the food mile. You say food mile means the number of what you call the energy consumption, that has to be minimized. Sure. So that is a different that's the concept we are looking for it. Now we are going for food system only. So my point is that like that we have technology for everything. For example, conservation agriculture is a technology. So in what you call the here. For example, in transgangetic Punjab and Haryana, they've gone for laser leveling. Laser leveling. Once you go for a laser leveling, so the plowing operation is drastically minimized. Understood? Because it's a costly one-time affair, but for next 5 years it can be managed. So that what we have to do. This is the technology, laser leveling. So when you level the land, so whatever the energy you are using it, that is minimized, and there will not be wastage. Fertilizer will not be wasted, water will not be wasted, and everything will be minimized. So laser level, what technology I'm talking about? It's a green technology. And for example, so you can ask me a question. I can, because fertilizer also, there are a lot of fertilizer, biofertilizers. There are chains of technologies are there, and harvesting, dairy also, there are a lot of technologies are there. What I'm trying to say is that these technologies are region specific, based on the demand. Based on the demand, we can go for that thing. For example, in down south, if you go, mostly the sorghum crop is there. Sorghum crop is there. Sorghum, and it's very famous. When I say sorghum is famous because it is nutritionally rich. So when I say nutritional rich, why not you transform your food diet also? Why not bring in the component of nutri-cereals? Nutri-cereals means because it is rich in all the particular protein. I'm talking about protein. It's essentially is present in the ragi. Ragi means Elusina coracana. I don't know in north what they'll be saying. Ragi plant is there.
Yeah, yeah.
Ragi,
Ragi, yeah.
sorghum is there, and there are series of core cereals are there. May not be present in the North India, but in South India it is there because of the climatic condition. Because of the climatic condition, there are many cereal crops are there. I'm talking about the major cereals like your kambu. I don't know, bajra. They used to say bajra, but there it is there because of the climatic condition, and that is the reason why the international organization called Equisat has been situated in Hyderabad, because it is working on these kind of core cereals. So what I'm trying to say is that since the location, in that location, a lot of cereal crops are there, nutri cereals, because it's rich in nutrition. Why not in the diet you bring in a change? And trust me, because my father is so old, and 80 years back they were using it in the part of diet. Kambu, ragi was there, but now we have shifted to the what you call the rice based one. So we have shifted, and that is, we are in a way, we shifted our diet, and it may be vulnerable to many of diseases also, possibly. I don't know, there's no evidence is there, but still we can say that a lot of obesity, a lot of things are happening. Those things, I'm talking about the nutriceuticals, ragi, it was so good for the health. So we have shifted. So why not go back? Why not go back? So that is the point I wanted to stress this thing. And I think a lot of questions can be possible in this particular thing. And I'll just quickly go for the question President was asking about the crop residue aspect. Actually, sorry, what is it called? The crop burning. Crop burning. So in 1 minute, I'll say to you the reason that behind crop residue burning. Okay, because that is essentially important, because once you know the causes, then it will be easier. So when I talk about the main reason is that because of the shift in the monsoon. When I say monsoon, and it was because of that reason, water availability. That's the most important thing. Because of the water availability, the date of sowing, date of transplanting shifted towards July. And because of that shift, the harvesting was held in the month of November. In the month of December, the first fortnight of December, they have to go for wheat sowing. So there is no gap between harvest of rice crop and sowing of wheat crop. There is no gap. And what the farmers will be doing, or what they were doing it, they went for burning. Because there is no gap between the harvesting of rice crop and sowing of wheat crop. Since there is no gap, definitely they have to go for burning. Why? The question is why? Because of the less availability of water, they shifted the date of sowing. That's one point. Second important point, some mechanization is also reason, because they were in a position to have the combined harvesters. In one stretch, they can harvest the crop, and it will throw away the residues. And how to dispose of the residues? How to dispose the residues? It's a big problem. They cannot dispose the residues. Who will purchase the residues? How much the cattle will fodder as a fodder. And one more important point, rice fodder will not be liked by the cattle. Rice fodder will not be liked by the cattle, because rice is, the fodder is rich in silica means silicon, simple, SiO2. So this is technically is called silica. So since it is rich in silica, the the cow will not be taking it. Less concern, because digestion will be less. And when digestion is less, what will happen? How digestion is less, the ruminant is less, it will release more of methane. Again, it's a problem.
Mr. Venkat Raman,
Yes, sir.
this your energy, smart energy programs were there in our universities 15 years back, all these villages you have mentioned. And straw also, the machines are there to collect the straw, and the animals in Bihar and Odisha, they take paddy straw for, whereas in our states, the cows, they take wheat straw. So that is there. So, this is what we have interacted, coordinated.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the point, sir. Very important point you said. I was also working on the same concept. When you talk in Pantnagar in 1970s and 80s itself, they have worked on this particular aspect, that how best we can use the rice straw for feed or for fodder consumption, right? But at the same time, the quantity is increased. The quantity of fodder is not, then it was different. Now so much production is there. And where to dispose of the fodder? Understood? How much we'll be feeding to the farm animal? So we have to look for certain other strategies. That's what President was saying. What is the strategy? So the strategy is that in addition to whatever the normal traditional use, like fodder, it's a traditional. Feed fodder is a traditional thing. Mushroom production is a traditional thing. Conservation tillage is a traditional thing. I'm talking about covering back the part of the fodder into the soil. It's a traditional one. So along with that traditional aspect, something will be surplus. Some quantity of fodder will be surplus, and how best we can use those surplus residues. That's the key thing. We should not go for burning the residues. If we burn the residues, so many papers after papers have been published on in that particular in the winter region. A lot of health issues have been it's been published also. So my point here is that there is a technology,
So
and that
why is crop burning still happening? I mean, this discussion has been going on for so many years,
yeah.
but every year it's the same story. Come November, December, we have. I mean, it's the same problem again.
Yes, yes. So not only particularly in South Asia, China, this is a very rampant thing because it's a regular phenomenon. Now it's been a regular phenomenon. So many laws are there, stringent laws are there. I mean, I'm talking about the legal punitive action will be taken against the farmers, but still they're going for it. But because the farmers, let us for one moment, let us see their condition. When I say their condition means they have a huge stock. How to use that stock? So we have to provide a certain kind of technology, certain kind of support system to use those products. For example, in northern state, it's a pilot project is going on in UP. For example, straightforward answer is UP. They wanted to take this fodder and they wanted to go for 2G. 2G means second generation biofuel. 2G means second generation biofuel because they're rich. This fodder are rich in carbon, and they wanted to go for second generation biofuel production. Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. So this is one answer. There is different answers are there. When I talk about different answers, because everything is the bottom line is these are the biological resources. The fodder or so the residues are the biological resources. So whatever we are using it from the biological resources, that is called as bioeconomy. Bioeconomy.
Anjana, can I come in for a moment?
Sure, sure. Please go ahead.
We just soon going to be running out of time. It's going to nearly get 8 o'clock.
Yes.
But I just want to say a couple of things before we hand over to our conclusion. You see, the subject is sustainable development. The sustainable development encompasses not only agriculture, but millions of other things. The most important thing which is being discussed across the globe is global warming, greenhouse effect, and exploitation of the nature. You see, there are certain issues. If you want to do sustainable development to meet the requirements of the growing population as you started with, you've got to take a very balanced view. You talked about Swaminathan, the Green Revolution. At one point in time when he came into picture, India was short of food grain. But today, India is surplus of food grain. But is the quality of food grain similar? Is the quality of rice, wheat, vegetables similar? That's the question. So at the end of it, there is a combat, there's a fight between human beings and nature. Nature provides you certain issues, and human beings are trying to overcome it by scientific means, which in the long run is creating a problem. So, and the other issue is, the developed countries, United States and such big countries and most of the European countries are not bothered about so much. They're only looking at the developing countries. Developed countries have different norms of managing global environment as against what we in India have. So there is a vast, there's so much dichotomy. Sustainable development, to my mind, means a major portion of seeing how next 100 years. Look at the way we are using plastics today. Now, is that something that can be avoided? If you want to do sustainable development, you must learn. Plastic is a great thing to have been invented, but we don't know how to dispose it. There has got to be some scientific manner of disposing plastics. So therefore, if you look at, there are a large number of issues one can talk about sustainable development, but the critical point is this: we are exploiting nature. And I think that's where I want to say that I think human beings are responsible. Glacier melting, global warming are all coming out of because they're exploiting the nature. And that's because population is increasing. So everything, it's a round circle. Sanjana, sorry for this interruption, but I think I thought I said all these things before you close the show.
Very important points, very important point, and in fact, that's what I just talked about the agriculture aspect. Because when you talk about plastics, There are, bioplastics have come into picture, biocellulose based products have come into picture, and the dichotomy as far as the development is concerned, that's a development paradox that is existing there. So, what I feel is that in a positive way, the approaches that is inbuilt in the sustainable development goals, if it is what you call adopted in, definitely there will be positive outcomes we can expect from this approaches. That's what I want to say. Is it fine? That sustainable development, in fact, every aspect we need to talk about it. So sustainable lifestyle is the consumption, how we consume it. That's rightly said, that the quality of food also, whatever we are consuming it. That is the reason why, along with the food, what we consume, we are talking about the nutrition aspect also. Nutrition security has come into picture, and the way we live also. I'm talking about the sustainable lifestyle and so on and so forth. So everywhere the sustainability is, and part and parcel of our thinking process
I mean,
and
look at
life
rice.
also.
Look at rice being given away and somebody eating. What is another thing called, Sanjana? In place of rice, people are eating something. What is it called?
Quinoa.
Quinoa. Yeah. So
So
rice.
he's talking about ragi. That is also a
Yeah.
millet which is becoming, more and more people are having a combination of millet and
Yeah.
Yeah, millet.
ragi and jowar and bajra. They're mixing it all together, and gradually they are thinking about reintroducing these things in our diet. I know this is a endless topic, and we
Yeah.
have so much more to find out from you and learn from you and listen to you. But I think if there are two questions I can ask, I mean, one which I asked when I was doing the introduction is, has the pandemic showed way to a greener world? I mean, in your opinion, do you think that has helped in many ways? Because what we have observed is, that there are more birds around us, and then there is a lot more greenery, and it's quieter. I mean, the noise pollution is definitely less. Um, we can see stars in Delhi, which was completely unheard of once upon a time. So, do you think it will help take us towards a greener world?
Definitely that during the last year, lockdown completely, the air pollution level is drastically reduced. That is for sure. It has been documented also. But at the same time, when you see as far as the relation is concerned, the climate change and the pandemic, if you ask me the relation, evidence is not there. But recently, maybe last week, there was a paper in Science of Total Environment where they said that the changing climate has influenced the bat population, diversity, and that has influenced because that is having what you call the coronaviruses from the bat population. So that has influenced, it seems. That's what they would reported in the Science of Total Environment. They're saying it. So of course there is no convergence, but a lot of things we can learn from the pandemic. A lot of things we
Sanjana,
can.
you can try as hard as you want for finding something positive in pandemic. I'm sorry, it cannot have even a minuscule of positive. I'm sorry to say that. Let's not try and look for something good in it. The pollution levels are going because the traffic on the road is less because you quarantine people. And why have you quarantined people? I'm sorry, pandemic, I can find nothing, not even 1 millimeter or one decimal of any goodness. The sooner it goes away, the better it is for all of us, and sustains development. The development is suffering because of the pandemic.
Mm.
Yeah.
And my next question is going to be that, can we fight this fight alone? Or, like we said, do all of us need to do a little bit to contribute towards a planet where, we have sustainable development?
Yeah.
Definitely a bottom to or top approach means participatory mode is required. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to tell us more? I mean, is this your last slide, or do you?
Yeah, this is the last slide. In fact, I learned a lot of things because Professor Deepak Wala and the president also, with a few important points I learned also. That's why I said that you all are, elder to me. I've learned a lot from you all.
Yeah,
Any more
Sanjana,
questions?
Sanjana, I will just add what he has said.
Please.
Climate smart agriculture it is an integrated approach of managing not only land crops, but livestock, forest, and fisheries as
Yeah, absolutely.
well. Everything.
Yeah, yeah, Deepak, absolutely.
Mhm. Great. Any other questions from viewers? Would you mind removing the screen share? Then we can see everybody on the screen.
Yes, ma'am. You can remove it.
Okay.
I should do it.
Yes, you can do that. Okay. No, it's okay. I've done it. Yeah. Now, if there are questions, then it's easier to see and
Yeah, I
talk.
just want to ask something.
G.
See, we have read in the newspapers that the non-veg food is also damaging and then people were talking that the non-veg food will be made in a lab in future and probably will have without harming any animals. How far that is true?
I'm sorry, sir. What is that? Non-veg food? Sorry.
See, I heard that non-veg food which people are consuming in abundance also is contributing to the bad to the environment. And I also heard that they are now trying to make non-veg food in the lab without harming the animals. Is that true?
I don't have any idea. So sorry, sir. I don't have any idea.
Okay. Any other questions?
This is a fact that while raising animal, in fact, sustainable development, water is the one thing which is being misused at the maximum, as Mr. Venkat Ramanan said. And while raising one animal, it takes so much of water. Probably that is one of the reason. And the second thing, which is in fact, probably he has brought it out also, that 85% of the total water which we use is going for agriculture. So unless we start adopting the modern agriculture practices in a fully way, probably this water shortage, and he has very rightly pointed out that Punjab, the crops which they have started, there is no gap. So parali is because of that, because the greed of the farmer, I would say the greed of the farmer of Punjab has resulted in this thing. Thank
Yeah,
you
he's
very much.
absolutely right. You need to do what is called the drip agriculture, drip
Drip
irrigation.
yeah.
I mean, that's what Israel is doing, and they're creating such fantastic products.
So obviously we have to end with positivity. So where does hope come from, according to you, Dr. Ramanan?
I'm very positive, madam, and definitely positive is there within me, and I'll try to do everything possible. Every one of us, we should think about how best we can help the environment every way, every individual, starting from the children, and education, and everywhere we have to bring in a change. Lifestyle, thinking process, everything we have to bring in a change. That is the way we can achieve the goal of sustainability.
Great.
Education and literacy are two very major factor which will impact the sustainable development goal in a positive manner. You'll be surprised to know that India is a house to 34% of the adult illiterates of the world. And that is a major chunk. Unless we start, under the RTE Act, the school enrollment has gone up to 94.4%, but still we have over 27 crore adult illiterates in India. So I think these are this SDG, these 17 goals which are there. I think we have to work on each one of them so
Yes.
that the right kind of mix is found. And unless the people attitude changes, probably we'll be where we are and we'll remain where we have been.
So we have to
Absolutely
fight
right.
together.
Yeah, it has everyone has to be a part of it.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, you're right that literacy is an important reason for, I mean, perhaps our ignorance. But many a times, I think the people who are uneducated or illiterate are wiser than the literates as well. So
Well, Sanjana, these days Ramesh is doing tremendous job in this field of education.
I know he's
And
doing
he's
an
devoting all his time to
absolutely
it. So
stellar job there.
yeah, and that's a very major part in sustainable development of any part of the world, in a country or anywhere else. So I think Ramesh is doing a great job these days on trying to work on this issue of education and literacy. But education by itself has got many definitions. So what is education? Is it good education by MSc and PhD and still we're not wearing a mask? Is it a damn good education? Is it a good education to have 100 people parties and dancing away? You may be PhDs or you may be tycoons. Is that education?
Yeah.
So those are the issues. We don't know what exactly education means.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Education has to be with the value. Values have to be there.
Absolutely, Ramesh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that's a wrap for this evening. And thank you, Dr.
Thank you, ma'am.
Venkat Ramanan. I think it's been an absolutely fantastic 1 hour which we've spent with you. We've learned so much more. I mean, definitely I'm going to look up what laser leveling is, because that's something I've heard for the first time, and so many other things. And I loved your PPT as well. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so
very
much, Dr. Saab. Thank you so much for
much.
making such a subject so interesting and making our brains think again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for conducting it for us.
And I have to thank Dr. Nandini Sinha Kapoor for helping, act as the point of contact between the two of us. So thank you, Mrs. Kapoor, for that. We wish the viewers a very good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. It is an interesting and a developing topic. I think we can have more discussion on this, because it impacts not just us, it impacts the next generation and generations to come. So perhaps we will ask you to come and speak to us again, Dr. Ramanan.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Wishing everyone a very lovely evening. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, thank you.
Good night.